welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all safe and well. Wanted to get out and do some filming on Dunstable Downs so that you can see what a beautiful place it is. Although it's very cold this morning, hope you enjoy the video. Dunstable Downs Gateway, which is an amenities, which is currently serving some drinks to the cold people that are up the downs at the moment. Current temperature, I suppose about 3 degrees.
This unique object upon the downs is not actually a spaceship. It is in fact an air conditioner, a wind trapper, and it traps the air from the downs and sends it into the visitor centre that's behind us. Interestingly, we see the village called Totternoe, and at the top of Totternoe is a place called Totternoe Knolls, but we'll show you that in a video in a forthcoming event. In the foreground, just here, is a little church called St Giles, and that church just opposite is a farm, as shown by the arrow, and in that land of that farm, under that ground, is a Totternoe villa, a Roman villa. Disappointingly, you can't see anything above ground, but that's quite interesting.
In 1588, beacons were set up across the land from Cornwall to London and from London through to the east of the coast. These beacons were set up through fear that the Spanish may invade during the time of Elizabeth I. So these beacons would have been here on Dunstable Downs as well as up on Ivanhoe Beacon, so they would light them so people would know that we were being invaded. Watling Street ran through the middle of Dunstable. It came up from St Albans and then down to London, and it was a crossroads in Dunstable that was crossed by Icknield Way, and Icknield Way ran up to the east coast of the country, so it was an important trading connection throughout the country. It made it a very popular area.
In the distance you can see the London Gliding Club, LGC, which was formed in 1930. Initially they were launching their gliders up over at Ivanhoe Beacon, but it caused such a attention of the locals that they were asked to move on, and they did, and they moved to this section here at the bottom of Dunstable Downs. In 1801, there was concern about invasion from France, so a signalling system was set up to go all the way from London right up to Yarmouth and down to the south coast, and Dunstable was chosen as a location where they could set up a good signal where everybody would be able to work out if somebody was invading. So the Admiralty were instigators of this, and because of the height of Dunstable Downs.
golf club, and there was a barrow in that area in the 1800s that had remains of Neolithic people, and in order to extend the golf club they bulldozed it. So the remains of that person have been moved, and their artifacts have been moved to the Luton Museum. The woman that was found in the barrow at the golf club was 25 years old, and she had a child with her, probably around the age of 5.
In the 1860s, a volunteer force of riflemen set up a rifle range at the bottom of Pascombe Hill. They would arm themselves with their own equipment, and they were the forerunners of the Territorial Army. In the distance you can see Blows Downs, and you can watch a video on that in the library. I'll put a link in the above. And also panning to the left there, you can see what is Chiltern Hills. Hopefully we'll get a chance to film up there in the near future. During the 1800s, the mid to the late, on Good Friday, the people of Dunstable decided that they would throw an orange down Pascombe Hill and chase after it, which is very different to what was being done in other villages who were rolling an egg. They stopped doing this in the 1960s due to health and safety, mainly because people would probably break their necks, but also because lots of scrub was now up on the hill, and so it became even more dangerous.
Going into a small section of ancient wood, and then we're going to be able to look at the 5 knolls. Going back into ancient history, perhaps around the years 4,000 to 4,500 years ago, this was a community area where the dead were buried. And there are some 10 prehistoric burials or cremations that have been found in this area, and one of the best preserved skeletons was of a slender woman who was at the northwest edge of the group of these mounds, and it's probably the oldest one that was here. And the marks on the woman's skull suggest she wore a heavy headdress when alive, and she may have been a leader or a priestess. In the 1920s, archaeologists made a very disturbing discovery up here. They found some skeletons of mostly men with their hands tied behind their backs. They've been put in the top of the barrows, It is thought that they were Saxon raiders, and that the Britons decided that they would basically teach them a lesson, and executed them up here on this hill. Disturbing thing about these knolls is in the 1600s they were associated with witchcraft, and Elizabeth Pratt was convicted of witchcraft after claiming that she met somebody up here to plan to engage in it. She was taken to Bedford jail, where she did not make trial, where she actually died in the jail before trial. In the entry in the jail list, she is entered next to John Bunyan, and you may know a little bit about him as he was a preacher of the time, and he was put in prison for preaching about the Bible. Later in time, 17 and 1800s, they actually used this area and put a gibbet up here to tell the locals not to misbehave, otherwise that's where you'll end up. So quite a sinister area really. Leaving the top of the downs now and going to go down the slope, heading into Dunstable town, where we'll finish our journey. When it snows, the kids all come up this hill and they come down sledging into Dunstable town. And I must admit, I've done it myself. Fantastic place to come sledging. So if it does snow tonight, you can be sure this will be rammed full of people tomorrow. The houses you now see are a replacement of two famous pubs. The first one being the Rifle Volunteer, which was frequented by those who were at the foot of the hills of the Downs practicing shooting in the 1800s. Alcohol and shooting their guns off, well, what do you reckon? That's probably a great combination. In 1969, that pub got knocked down and replaced controversially by a pub called the Windsock, which was an unusual design. That pub only lasted just 10 years before it was deemed not appropriate for the area, and they knocked it down and replaced it with housing. So that concludes my video up Dunstable Downs. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please put a thumbs up or comment in below, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Looking forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care. Got to get back up this hill now. and it's very, very slippery, and I do not want to fall over, as I seem to in every single video. One of the big problems about the great outdoors is there's no public lavatories, and I'm absolutely busting, and it's cold. Another thing I've noticed is that because it's so cold, is that there's a lot of children up here crying because their hands are cold, and you may notice my face has gone red. So how these guys do it in their paragliding things, in their whether they've got face masks on or something like that to keep themselves warm, I don't know, but it's very cold. Up here on the downs, but it does make it a little bit awkward because you don't want to film people. At the same time, try not to walk near them because of COVID-19, of course. They seem to be reasonably spread out, which is good, whilst they're outside safely enjoying the outdoors.